everyone, my name is Ksenia, welcome back. So I have a wrap up for you today, obviously as you can tell from the title. Wow, what a start. So in October I read 4 books and one of them was an audiobook. So I'm going to start with the first one I finished, and this is We Have Always Lived in Castle by Shirley Jackson. So the novel was first published in 1962 and it was just 3 years before Shirley Jackson's death. The story follows Mary Catherine Blackwood and her sister Constance Blackwood, and also their uncle Julian, who I'm not sure is on the cover. So they live in a very big and beautiful mansion, but they don't go out much. They are very constrained to their own house, and you can see where it came from if you know that Shirley Jackson has spent last years of her life in her house, not going out much, with very strong agoraphobia. So you can see the connection here. I think the best thing about this book for me was the characters, especially Mary Cat. Even though she's very creepy, she's very dark, she also has this compelling voice. She never tells you exactly what she's doing, what's going on in her head. She only gives you bits of information that she wants you to know. And she's very childish. She has little rituals that she does, like for example, she would nail a book to a tree, and that to her would mean that nothing bad will happen to their family. She's very creepy, she's almost psychopathic in a way, but because we are in her mind, I for one, I was rooting for her. Her voice just does that to you. You want her to win, you want her to prevail over all of the obstacles that are there, and this is just one of the things why this book is amazing. So yeah, I think this book is perfect for people who want something spooky and creepy but can't read horror, because it has just enough of creepy vibes without actually scaring you. So I definitely recommend it. And the next book I read is Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brandt. And this is the book that I'm going to make a separate review of, because this book destroyed my feelings and my heart and my soul. I cannot express in words how much it means to me. I will try to do it in a review. So this book is set in the late 80s in New York, and it follows a 14-year-old girl who has her beloved uncle dying from AIDS, and she has to deal with it. She has to learn to live after his death, and she meets his partner. They develop a very unlikely friendship. So this book, there are millions of reasons why I adored this book, but I'll try to keep it, short. One of the reasons is the friendship that the main characters develop. It is so pure, so beautiful, so wonderfully done. The characters themselves are really rich and well developed and well rounded, and to see them become friends is so poignant, because they are both very lost and they both don't know what to do with themselves, and they become friends, and it's so beautiful. And June in itself is such a real character. She's very in her own mind. She loves medieval things, she loves art, she loves going to the woods and pretending that she's in another century, and she just plays on her own. And I recognized so much of myself in her. It was amazing to see her growth and her change in the book. So this book deals a lot with sibling relationships between June and her sister, and her uncle and her mother, who are brother and sister obviously. It deals a lot with jealousy between siblings. Also, if you're into art, I think this is the book that you would love, because there is so much art. Finn is an artist. He painted a portrait in the very beginning, and there's quite a lot of descriptions of painting. Toby is a musician, and there aren't that many descriptions, but still, there's music and all that stuff. And Greta, who is June's sister, just plays in a school performance. But also there's a lot of theater-related stuff. I'll say that in the beginning it took me quite a while to get through, because there was a lot of back and forth in the timeline, and it got me a little bit confused, but then after that was finished it was more linear, and I just loved it. There's a lot of love here, and I would really, really, really recommend it. So yeah, after Tell the Wolves I'm Home I was completely drained, and I just thought I would never read anything else again. But I realized that I need to pick up something fast-paced, completely different. So I picked up Not Even Bones by Rebecca Sheffer. And this was exactly what I needed, exactly what it promised. So this is young adult, it's fast-paced, it's entertaining, it's fun. It got me through that period of heartbreak after the previous book, so that's just what I needed. So yeah, the story follows Nita, who loves to dissect dead unnaturals that her mother kills, and then they sell them for black market. So, just your ordinary girl. So, like in young adult books, there are your ordinary teenagers, and then stuff happens, and they're like super fast, and they're not afraid of anything, and they're like maybe scared for a few lines, and then they are not scared of anything, and they do cool stuff, and you're like, but if a real human being was in that situation, they wouldn't have reacted like that. They would have been shocked, and they would have had more panic inside them. And this book has it all. It is so real. Like the reaction of Nita, the protagonist, to the things that are happening to her are so real. So she's super smart. She does a lot. She's incredible. But she's also scared, and she allows herself to panic. She cries a lot, which I love. So what I liked specifically is that the book is set in Peru. It doesn't treat Peru as this unusual, exotic country. It's very real. Like all of the good things, all of the bad things, all the descriptions are very vivid. And there's quite a lot of descriptions later in the book of Amazonian rainforest. And there are so many details. It's so rich in detail, in like smells and texture and all of that stuff. So yeah, the book is set in South America, and there are lots of characters from North America. This book doesn't shy away from commentary on this stuff, on like privilege, white people privilege, rich people privilege, and just first world country privilege, I guess. And another thing that I really loved is the moral ambiguity of the characters. So there is Nita, who has been dissecting dead bodies all her life, and she never thought it was exactly wrong. She justifies her actions quite a lot, and then because of events that happen in the book, she learns to reevaluate her life. Another character who is not black and white as well is COVID, who is a male, not protagonist, I guess he's like a secondary character, but he is featured a lot here. And basically he's an unnatural who eats pain. So he tortures people a lot, he kills people a lot. So he's not a good guy, but there is depth in him, and there is moral ambiguity in him as well. Basically, if you like Kaz Brecker, I think you will love COVID as well, and I love both of them. So yeah, the book is pretty gruesome and gory, like there's lots of dissections, but if you're okay with it, I'd really, really recommend it. It's super fun, super fast-paced, and just a really great read. So yeah, and the book that I finished just yesterday is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is also young adult. It is a part of the series, so it's the first one, and this makes me really happy because I loved it. So yeah, the book in itself is pretty amazing, the story is great, but I listened to the audiobook and I have to say that it's amazing. The narration is just beyond words. The book is set in 1920s New York. It has amazing atmosphere. It focuses a lot on eugenics movement, on Ku Klux Klan, on people hating immigrants. I really like that it had good and bad of New York, of America in the 20s. So yeah, the plot centers around a group of kids teenagers, who have some kind of power. Then there is a murderer on the loose, that it is actually a ghost of a murderer who came back from the dead to finish his ritual killings, which is super fun. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it right now. I only wanted to talk a little bit more about one specific character who is, I guess you can say she's the main character because she's featured more than anyone else, and this is Evie O'Neill, of course. She gets a lot of hate because she is unlikable, selfish, arrogant, sassy, spoiled, lots of other stuff. But this is exactly why I loved her, because apart from those things, she's also very driven. She's like a constant wheel of motion. She's very ambitious, and she's fun-loving and she's free and she's outspoken, opinionated, just so many things that a real person can be. And I don't really understand the hate. I mean, I understand that it's easy to say that she's annoying, and it's more difficult to see that there's something underneath this shallow interior, you know? No, exterior. I mean, it's like with real people, right? You can see a loud, sassy girl and think of, that's all she is, she's annoying, but there might be so much underneath. And the thing is that with girl protagonists, I feel like mostly girl protagonists are a bit shy and quiet and reserved, and I love those characters because I am more like them as well, so I can see myself in them. Like, for example, Mabel. I loved Mabel. I think she's my favorite character, even though she hasn't been developed that much in the book, but I saw myself in her, so I loved her. But we also need characters like Evie so much, and she has so much to offer. So yeah, I love Evie O'Neill. She's amazing. Yeah, I really love The Diviners. Would really, really recommend audiobook. It's amazing. Just listen to a sample. It's incredible. So yeah, and I wanted to also mention another book that I picked up, and I was supposed to read it in November, but I ended up giving it back to the library, which is sad. So the book is My Favorite Thing is Monsters by Emil Ferris, and I was so excited to read it. Illustrations are just so intricate and there are so many small details. I was so excited to read it. Then I started reading it, and I realized that it deals quite a lot with a woman who is a survivor of Holocaust, and yeah, I can't read stuff like that. It was mentioned that the character has bad dreams, and like she was crying in the dream, and then she was drinking, or I don't know, just stuff that I don't want to read about. I just don't, and I don't feel like this kind of book will have some kind of positive message. Oh, and the woman was murdered. In the beginning of the book, the woman is murdered. So you know what? I don't think it's going to be a very happy book. So I gave it back to the library. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of those books, if you have heard about them, what you thought, all that stuff. Let's chat. And I'll see you next time. Bye!